Welcome, I'm Bill Wake. We're working on a set of tools for dulcimer players, and this week we're focused on a chord chart. We'd like to draw the available notes from a chord on the fretboard, so we'll pick up there. We left off with a failing test, and I reverted the code that we used to implement it, and then I kind of want to revert this test too. So we started off saying we're going to draw notes corresponding to a chord on the fretboard, and then I don't know, this seems I don't know, it seems too big. It was too big a step, I think, and I'm not sure it's the right place either. So we're asking the chord chart, well, we're asking what frets. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's go look at chord tone. Okay, so he is a note. He tells us which string, 0, 1, or 2. He tells us which fret. That's a chromatic. Sorry, that's the. I guess that's the chromatic fret. And he tells us what interval we're working on, the root, third, fifth, or seventh. Okay, well that's not unreasonable to ask for. So if we're going to draw the notes for a given chord, let me run this so we can at least have a fretboard to look at. I guess we're going to want to know those chord tones because they're the possible places we could draw. But I don't know how he knows which string. I mean, at some point, we have to do, if you're going to say, I'm going to draw a D chord, you got to tell me the notes are D, F sharp, A, which ChordChart certainly should know. And then I guess we're going to talk to the fretboard and say, you know, where are your Ds? And then draw the dots that correspond. Yeah, so getting the chord tones, well, I'm just not sure. I deleted the code we started to write because it was not anywhere near up to what we needed. It was a lot of code and didn't answer the question, so it just seemed like a bad sign. Anyway, so I want to go through and I want to say, I'm going to draw a D chord, say, for the first one, D major, D, F sharp, and A. I need to know where all the Ds are. So in 0 through 10, there's 0 and 7 are Ds on the first string and the third string, and then 3 and 10 are Ds on the middle string. Okay, so I guess the chord tones, the frets is too much. I'm not sure chord tone is the right. I don't think he should know the fret. And I don't think we should know the string. I mean, that's useful if we actually set up a fingering, but I think in terms of answering the question about the chord, we answer the question, do you have this chord? Pattern. Yeah, the pattern for this quality is all satisfied by all these notes. Okay. All right, so maybe I got to start with the test I want. So I definitely want to be able to ask, given a chord, name and quality, what are the notes like D, F sharp, A, and what are they? Are they the root, the third, or the fifth? Okay. The fret, I don't think that's something the chord chart knows per se. At least, it's not a question I want to ask just yet. Yeah, that part we haven't dealt with at all. Okay, so I mean, there are multiple chords for any of these. Well, most of them have multiple chords. D major could be 0, 0, 2, or it could be 2, 0, 0. You can always flip them because D, A, D. Same note on the two strings, just an octave different. We're not tracking octaves. Also 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 4, 5, 7, 7, 4, 5, 4. And I don't want to go up into the ones 7 and above, but 7, 7, 9 is repeating the pattern. Okay, so somebody has to calculate that stuff. At this point, I just want to draw. I want to say 0, 0, 2 is a chord. Okay, put a dot at 0, a dot at this 0, and a dot at this 2. Oh, 2, 0, 0, 2. All right, another dot here. Basically, what tones are in the chord? D, F sharp, A, 0, 2, and 4. Those ought to all have dots. And that ought to be drawn on there. I want different shapes for the different kinds, root, third, and fifth, but they should all be there. And I'm not worrying about how do you finger a chord. I just want to say, what are the notes that make up the chords and where can I find them? So, I mean, if you had that chart like that, I mean, it's a little tight, but, you know, I'm going to draw a circle, a round dot for the root, triangle for the third, and a box for the fifth. You know, you can just go through and find a circle, find a triangle, find a box, and you would have a chord. Okay, if all I did was give you those notes on the fretboard. Now I also want to spell them out and say, oh, 0, 0, 2, 2, 0, 0, and so on. All right. So I think the first question I should ask the chord chart is, what are the notes in this chord? Okay. Now the answer, I think, is the part I object to. Well, if you're talking about the chord notes, I mean, the root of the chord, the first note of the chord D and D, F sharp, A, is not always on the leftmost position. So if I have 0, 0, 2, that's the first one you can get to for D. It is the leftmost position, 0, 0, and 2. But if I did the 2, 3, 4, well, the D is actually on the middle string. It's called an inversion because we've taken the note from the bottom of the chord and put it on the top, in effect. So depending what chord you're grabbing for and all that stuff, that's not true. And then in different chords, I mean, D, it's a D string, so the D chord fits there naturally. But if you had the G chord, that's 0, 1, 3. The 3 is a G. So it's definitely not going to be always the furthest to the left. It just depends on the inversion. But yeah, I guess that's as far as I can say at this point. So I think the question here was good. What are the chord tones? But I think the answer telling us strings and frets, I think that's premature. Because I think what we're going to do is we're going to consult the fretboard. We're going to get that information. What are the notes and what are the interval names? And then we're going to combine that with the fretboard and answer the question, I think I want to ask it like, what are the root notes on the first string? What are the root notes on the second string? What are the root notes on the third? And so on. Lowest tone in the leftmost position. Well, yeah, in normal chords you will, but I mean, 0, 0, 2 is the lowest chord, is the lowest note there. But I could also play, I don't know, 7, 0, 2. And then the 7 would be, well, he'd still be higher than that. He'd be, the 7 here on this string corresponds to the 0 on this string. So yeah, you kind of would. You usually have the lowest note on the lowest string, except that's in this tuning of DAD. Okay, the alternate tunings might not need that, or might not have that. There's a tuning that's DDD with all the strings tuned to the same octave. Okay, so you could easily pick a chord that was, 2-0-0. You'd have a higher note on the bass string than the melody string at that point in that tuning, but in DAD it's probably not. Should the lowest tone? Yeah. So if you're saying the lowest tone that occurs in any of the chords should be on the leftmost, as far left as possible. Yeah. But it won't always be on the 0. Depends on the chord. Not every chord has a D in it. So, A, C sharp, E. Well, the E is the lowest note that's in the chord. All right. So I don't think it's unreasonable to ask what we're asking here with the chord tones. But I think it's a big step. And I think the chord chart, his knowledge base should really be focused on the chord patterns. So I think he should tell us. Yeah, I really think we should ask him, what are the notes? Sorry, what are the chord notes? All right, so I'm going to change our test, I guess, is the bottom line. Like you said, do you think about things over the weekend and you go, okay. So I'm gonna call these chord notes, because it is the notes we're after in particular, and we'll leave off chord tone for now. The chord, I guess this is maybe the notes for D major. Okay, I think that reads okay. And what do we expect? Well, I guess this is where my thoughts over the weekend weren't quite consistent. One would be we could just get the set back. That's not unreasonable. Another would be we could get a more of a structure back that maybe has the 3 tones in it. I was thinking like cluster or something like that. But I was also thinking like, oh wait, our tuning is also 3 notes that usually sort of form a chord. But maybe that's not quite right. Okay. So the answer I want, what I want is I'm going to call it chord note just to distinguish it from this. And it's got a note name. Well, I guess that's note name D. I don't think I need to specify. I think note name will come out by itself. Interval root. The interval of the 3rd, and then the 5th. Okay, so it's consistent chord note. All right, and we'll put this on ChordChart. name and what did I call those things? Chord interval. Well, maybe that will belong over here. Let's do that. We'll leave chord tone in limbo for a moment there. Okay, note and interval is a chord interval. And then I think maybe I will put note in these. Oops, these. Yeah, I think that will be a next step. That yeah, I think if what I want to be able to do is take a note name, take a chord note by my new definition, and given a string on the fretboard, place all the instances of that note, mark them all as roots. Return frets for all chords matching notes on each string. Yeah, I think we're going to have to do something like that to actually name the chords. So 002, the fingering of it. Well, it's not quite, well, sort of the fingering. Yeah, I think we'll have to be able to say, I think what we're going to have to do is go through and place every root on every possible position on the fretboard, and then find the neighboring third and fifth. So if I place the D here, I want to find a nearby F sharp and a nearby A. The nearest F sharp is up here at 2, the nearest A is right here at 0. And so that makes a reasonable chord. If I get this one, and I want D F sharp A, and this is the D on 3, the F sharp is on 2, and the A is on 4, so 2, 3, 4. I mean, I think we can start with the root and then say, okay, given these other two strings, you know, find a close whatever. Now, the place that gets a little funny is diminished chords and seventh chords, because the interval from the third of a chord to the minor seventh, which is the kind of seventh we're after, is called it's called an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth, depending on what your context is. And the funny thing about that is it's exactly halfway in the octave. So it could mean there are two equally good answers for the difference there. So let's see. So D, F sharp. Well, the natural one is A, C sharp, E, G. So A, C sharp, G. You've got a C sharp at fret 2 and a G at fret 3. I guess that's not bad. Okay, that's all right. And then an A at fret 4. So A at 4, 2, 3, or 3, 2, 4, probably more commonly, is a diminished, is a seventh chord. But that difference from 2 to 3 is half an octave exactly. So what if I went up to, no, I guess that has to be as close as it can be. Maybe it won't be an issue. I was trying to find a place where there was an ambiguity of which note would be the closest. So unfortunately I don't have a 4 plus. Okay, so if I go to 5 plus, oh no, that's 6. 6 plus. 6 plus is G sharp and then to C. Well, yeah, the nearest C is over here. Maybe it doesn't happen. All right. And then so if it doesn't happen, that makes things easier, because I just have to say, I'm going to place the root let me try the third on this string or the fifth on this string, and you know, I got two alternatives. If things were equally far apart, I would have two alternatives times two alternatives or something like that, and that'd be a problem. The other funny case, and I'm not sure how to handle it, but because you could always, it's very easy to leave 0 open. I mean, meaning you don't have any fingers pressed on it. And so I could play 0, 7, 9 would be a perfectly fine chord, even though from 0 to 9 is way, way out of my hand reach. I don't have to play anything for the 0. I get it for free. So 0, 7, 9 is a perfectly good D chord. It's a little unusual that the high notes are more high apart than they usually would be, but it's a reasonable chord. I don't know if I can get another one like that. 0, 7, 0, 5, 7. I've definitely run across things that do that. And again, I can't reach 0 to 7, but I could leave the 0 open and play 5, 7, and that would be okay. Or maybe 0, 4, 5. That's again still a big reach for me, but you know, it's a feasible thing. Yeah, that's what I'm worried is that I'm sorry, I'm reading your notes later. So that 4+ distance, the fourth and a half, is called the tritone, and it's exactly in the center of the octave. So if you start on C and you go to F sharp and you count all those half steps on your piano, it's one number, and if you count from F sharp up to C, it's the same number. So it's exactly, you know, if you had to reach it exactly that far away, then you'd have some ambiguity. So I guess you do have ambiguity because I've got these, if I have these other tunings where DDD tuning, they are going to be equally far apart. So maybe if I went from 1 to 6, is that 1 to 6.5? Okay, I think would be an example in that tuning. And then 1, 6.5, 7. No. Oh yeah, that would still, you'd still have that close note. I don't know. Maybe it can't happen. We'll have to see. I think if I make the closest one or the leftmost one or something like that, it'll probably work out. All right. So I've got chord notes. Chord note conform to hashable. Do I need them in a set? Well, it's easy to put them in. Okay. That should be all right. Now let's get notes for and I don't know if a set or an array would be better. Okay, and we'll return sets. Think you'll infer it? Yes. Okay. Good. Now that should build. Cannot infer contextual base in reference to member type major. Notes. Argument type chord note expected to be an instance of a class or self-contained or a class constrained type. Why is he not? Let me just clear these errors and try. No, we want this test to fail, but not for this reason. Why are you not happy? Argument type array of chord note expected to be an instance of a class. That really seems wrong. I'd say set. Can I do it like this? Set of chord tone. Did I change my name? Chord note. That won't be confusing, will it? No, I didn't do a rename because I'm keeping it around. Okay, so I guess maybe if I do this because it's got the right things now, maybe. Chord notes. All right, good. Because I do need the concept. Unfortunately, I need something that knows the fret names as well. But I don't know. Okay. I don't know why it wants to tell me everything twice. My disk is just cranking away. I don't know what it's got going so much. Okay, there we go. Okay, so one issue, and it's this. Right, it came back empty instead of containing the right stuff. All right, so all right, so we're gonna run through the quality patterns and build up a set of these things. All right, let's see what we can do. Okay, so the quality dot pattern, all right, is the 3 positions on the fretboard. But I don't think I'm using the fretboard in this question. I'm just taking it. Well, maybe I just need to do quality dot pattern sub 0. Let's just return the set. Okay, so quality dot pattern. Well, no, we don't even need that. Chord note. Note is chord root, and the quality position is root. Welcome. Why is I don't know. There are a few. John Reed, R-E-I-D, usually does things on Sunday. I think most Sundays. I'm not sure. I don't know what other ones. Let's see. I'm not quite sure who does what. There's one called Code Rushed, and I'm not sure if he's working in Swift. I got an ad. Ridiculous. Yeah, I guess I don't follow very many that work in Swift either. Paul Hudson for hackingwithswift.com definitely has sometimes live broadcasts, well, sometimes public broadcasts and sometimes private ones, but hackingwithswift.com. If you subscribe, you'll have access to those. I don't know others. Let's see. Oh no, Code Rush is C# and TypeScript. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Can't help you. All right. Let's see. So I guess I know what I want to get from these is, well, it's kind of this stuff. Oh no, where do we use that? Chord root plus offset. Yeah, that's the thing we're after. I don't know. Let's do it this way. Let's just make the values. Let root equal this, and then we'll build the third, and then we'll return the set of all of them. Okay, so let third equal quality. I don't know if I'm. Oops. Okay, I'm not sure putting those together is the same thing. Oh, I've lost my own page here. Let's see. There we go. Oh yeah, I'll have to look for her. Yeah, I don't know if I have her on my list. Let me write it down. Okay, well that's good to know. Thank you. All right. Okay. Okay, so pattern 1, that's the offset. So let's do chord root dot plus quality pattern offset 1 and 5th. Well, yeah. The note is that, the interval is third. This one gets tricky. Well, now I'm changing my mind. Okay, let's get it coded and then we'll tweak it. Quality pattern 2, interval 5th. That's not right. I guess the question of the quality. If quality equals oh no. Well, we'll start there. Okay. we'll define other tests. Okay, so I've got those things now. I'll put them in a set: root, third, last, and I would say fifth, but it could be a seventh. Okay, that's the return. All right, yeah, get through the test and then do these. All right, good. All right. So let's take knows the notes for a seventh chord. Let's fix that piece of it. All right, so the tuning can be the same. Let's make this a minor seventh. Yeah, it seems weird to be returning a set, I guess. Sorry. This is, well, it's an app. It's a series of tools, and it's for mountain dulcimers, mountain dulcimers. They're a fretted 3-string instrument. You play it on your lap, and the kind of notable thing about it is it's got a weird fret pattern. So a chromatic would have all the same width, and the dulcimer just doesn't have that. Over time, they've added these half frets, the plus ones, and so you get a few more notes out of the whole scale, but there are definitely notes you just don't have on your dulcimer. And I'm trying to build up something that will take a given fretboard pattern, because there's at least 4 in common use, and a tuning, like what notes do you tune these strings to? There's a few dozen in use, maybe half a dozen in relatively common use, and then take those 2 facts and the question of what kind of chord: major, minor, seventh, diminished, and so on. So I want to make a chart that says D major 002 and has dots all over the place for those notes that are in it. My daughter publishes the Dulcimer Player News magazine, so I'm doing this app to donate to her, in effect, to have this tool and a calendar and a metronome and a list of songs, either by first line or tracked as a jam log and whatever like that. So, and I'll spare you our crash course on music theory, but it's we're working on the shapes of chords, so we have to know how many steps and half steps go into a chord, and that's where this is coming from. All right, this test should fail because the interval is going to be a fifth, and it's going to have the wrong note. So it's kind of fun. We're at that nice level of domain, but there's stuff in the domain that we just haven't got words for sometimes and concepts for. And dulcimer's only got 3 strings, at least the kind we're looking at. There are ones with 4, 5, or 6. Some of those duplicate strings and stuff like that. So there are more variations, but I want to do it generically to cover all the variations, even if I don't necessarily support them all right away. But anyway, this thing came back with Well, it probably came back with a D minor. Well, it says it's D minor 7th. Boy, that notation is really not very nice. Maybe we'll take a moment and put that in. But I was wondering a root 3rd 7th, and it claims it's got position 5 notes. I don't know why note names is showing up like that, but it's got the 3rd. It's got the root, and it's got the 5th. Okay, which is not right. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's just not readable for what we want to know. And this part's okay, the expected value, but something about note name. I don't know why it's always listing out note names. Maybe if I got rid of that, I could make sense of this better. I know why it's failing, but I'd like it to do this. Okay, it's doing that because it's got that. Well, that's completely static. Let's make that static, and I think it might take it out of the message. We have to put self dot in front, capital self. And then there's probably other people that reference it. Let's see. I don't normally like to refactor things too much when I'm in the middle of a test, but I think this will make this test go better. All right, nobody else cares? Good. It's really just listing that field. I don't know why, because it's an unchanging thing, so I guess they're all unchanging in a struct, but it just listed out every note in this note names thing, even though that concept is not really particular to the individual notes. It's sort of the global one, so it really probably should be a static. But yeah, and I think we'll get a slightly better reading thing. I mean, you could do better. You could just put D minor 7 or something like that, and be very readable. But that might be worth doing. I don't know. We've had to look at these a bunch. Okay, now how are you looking? Yeah, that's a little better. Yeah, I mean it could do. Okay. Yeah, so public says any file can know about that name. Private says only this file. I'm sorry, private says only this class. There's also file private that says if I have two different classes in the same file, they're allowed to know, but nobody outside this file. So this one has an enum, a chord tone, and a chord note. If I made something file private, any of these three could see it, but nobody could. And then static says, I mean, if you don't know OO, object-oriented design, this probably won't make sense, but normally an object has fields, but you can also, static says, make a field that corresponds more to the class and is the same for all the objects. And so that's what I did there, was I said, this list of note names, it's nothing particular to a chosen note. It's true for all the notes. The possible note names are these. And so by making it static, I'm saying there's only one copy of this. Just use that copy. And so capital S self means the static, basically. Go to the class, not the instance. Okay. Well, so that test failed as we would expect, because we're only writing fifths to it. So ChordChart here, he always writes the last intervals at fifth, but that doesn't need to be true. So the thing is, if this is a seventh chord, we can only have the root, the third, and the seventh. We don't have room for the fifth because we only have 3 strings to play on. Okay, and so I want to say if the quality is seventh of some sort, then then give me the seventh instead. Okay, and the chord patterns, they don't distinguish. They just say, go this many half steps. But the fact is, these two have seventh positions. Now, there might be... Okay, cool, thanks. There might be a case... Well, I could imagine a circumstance where I'd want to know that this was the root, this was the third, and this was the fifth or the seventh. Actually, we're kind of at that case. All right, so who uses these patterns? Maybe that's the question I should ask. So I should get this test green and then we'll deal with it, but only ChordCharts does. So this pattern, could be file private in this case because nobody else is looking at that, but I suspect they will eventually. Okay, so the easiest way out of this is, let's make a variable is seventh, and it's a Boolean, and how do you figure it out? Well, it's self equals dot dominant 7 or self equals dot minor 7. Okay, so if you knew that was the case, why do you say missing return? Cannot cover. Oops. Equal, don't equal. Okay. So if it's the seventh, that's the quality here, is seventh, then return dot seventh, else fifth. Okay. And that's kind of why I called it last, because it could be the seventh or the fifth. Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, it's... You don't have to have an object for a static. Well, the static is on an object, but it's or on a class in effect, but not on the objects. So Hugo, what other languages have you programmed in, if any? Okay. So we're kind of at a stable point now. We can answer that question. Give me the notes of a chord. So the refactoring I'm wondering about is if instead of being ints, these things were ints and these chords, what do you call these step things? Chord interval. So if I encoded this in there too, so I knew which one I was getting, that would be kind of that would be supportive of this. And this thing is the only thing that cares. I don't know. I'm going to do it this way. Swift lets you create these kind of anonymous types. Like this, it's a pair. There's an int, there's a chord interval, and then I have to do it. 0 root for third, 7 fifth, like that. Okay, cool. Yeah, so JavaScript and Python gave you some OO knowledge. That's cool. Swift's kind of a largish language compared to some, which I think is kind of the worst part about it. It's got a lot of things, and some of them are good, and some of them take some understanding, I guess. Okay, minor chord has a fifth. Like this little thing, it's kind of handy in a one-off kind of way. I don't know how useful it is in general. I could always create a little class and give it 2 fields, and then I'd have the same thing. But this is going to take away some of the conditional stuff that I just did. So, all right, yeah, this one's different. This is a seventh on the end. Yeah, you know, this makes me think. I'm going to change it again in a minute. We'll see. I'm working my way through it. I might be better off with a map, is kind of what I'm wondering. Yeah. What I've really liked about Swift is, especially with Swift UI, is their newish. I mean, it's probably 5 years old at this point, but their newer UI framework. I can get really decent looking graphics for not too much work. I have a desktop Mac. Which one do you call it? I don't know. It's the one that's everything's built in, and that's fine. You know, if you get a modern keyboard, won't be that different. Yeah, the little Mac Minis are kind of nice. I mean, they have a good price point. If you're gonna use it around a desktop. Okay, so we got these. Yeah, maybe I want to flip that. Let's do a different thing. Let's make this a map from chord interval to int. Now they're all backwards. Root goes to 0. There it goes to 4. Now I'll have to watch. Okay, this one's 037, so it's 037. This is 036. And this one's 0410, and this is the 7th. And this is 0310. Okay. Yeah, iMac, that's what I have. Yeah. All right. So now I've said this thing's a map, chord interval to int, and we got to use it correctly down here. Quality pattern dot well, the type of offset is probably the pair at this point. No. Yeah, chord interval element. Oh, it's really the element. Yeah, I always try and get the max out the memory. Oh, the element, whoops, cannot convert chord interval dot element, which is chord interval value. Okay, so this is element. And then element dot value. So it's key and value coming there. All right, now this one, quality dot pattern. Yeah, I mean your M4 Mini is probably better than my 2-year-old iMac at this point. I'm typically doing video and the IDE at the same time, so I definitely think it's worth it. More memory is worth it for that. But if you're not recording it, then you have a lot less overhead too. All right. So what I want to do here is pattern. Pattern keys, and yeah, for each piece, each key in the dictionary, I'm going to map them and this should be the note, the key, and this. Okay. All right, so for each key, that's going to be one of root, third, fifth. Okay, I'm going to want to put I'm going to turn it into a chord note with chord root plus quality pattern, chord root plus quality dot pattern sub key, and the interval is key. Yeah, I think that's right. I need to say note. Yeah. Okay, so we'll take the chord. I'm generalizing this. Chord root plus quality pattern of the key, not the index. Yeah, I'm not looking to sell it just yet. I do get jealous sometimes, but that's okay. I always know if I wait 6 months or a year. Yeah, and that's kind of where I am on a couple. I've got a phone that's I think stuck at 16 something, and my iPad's stuck at 17 something because they don't support them anymore. So those are my top priority to replace. All right, so anyway, I look up the pattern key. That gives me the number, and the interval is the key, so that's the same. So now I have all this, and I can return it. I guess I could, well, I can do it this way. Chord notes equals quality pattern blah, 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 and then return the set of chord notes. But I could inline it too. Okay, so this, okay, so that's a chunk of refactoring in kind of a different style, but I think that accurately reflects it, and we don't have to make those decisions anymore. So let's make sure this works. Yeah, it's nice how much they can still get out of these. They're working harder for their gains, but yeah, they do get better. Although I guess they've got enough AI and other heavy duty stuff in there, you know. The pixels have gotten deeper and all. Yeah, I mean, it used to be, you know, every year or two, your performance would double, you know, and they can't quite do that anymore, I don't think. But they've made some good jumps in M1, M2, M3, M4. I didn't hear much about M3s. I guess they were out there. Okay, where's the test? Okay, so we've made ChordChart knows how to spell a chord. Maybe any chord. All right, now I also feel like this thing is, he almost should answer the same thing. Well, I don't think we're going to keep him, but I do want to notice that notes for chord name gives us this set. We could walk through all those notes and do all satisfy fretboard. All notes tuning contains the value in there. We don't have to do the plus thing there. Okay. Sorry, my spam thing got you. No problem. Ignore the warning. Squid 1, Squid 2, Squid 3, Squid 2, Squid 4. Yeah, it gets, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 2, 4. I don't see the problem in the message, but my Nightbot kicked in and yelled at you. If it could keep the spam people away, it doesn't succeed at that 100% either. All right. Yeah. So I think what this shows now is if we go through this list, although the list is sort of related, but for each one of these, we can tell what are the notes in this chord. And given that, we should be able to draw the notes corresponding to that. All right. So now, I guess what I need is I need to know the name of the note and the interval type. The interval type is going to determine the shape, and the name of the note determines which note. No, we can't print them yet. Oh, could we? We probably could. Yeah, we could. Let's do that. You're right. Okay, so for each tuning, each chord quality, if the chord has chords of note quality, then let's do this. We print the text. I'm going to put this in an H stack. Got the text there. And then we need text. Well, we probably should make a description of this thing. Yeah, let's do that. That's starting to make it sound like this thing is a new the set. Ugh, yeah, see, I don't like the set aspect. I think an array would be easier to keep around. Let's do that. Oh, and I don't need this anymore because we do it a different way. Okay. Let's make this return an array of chord notes instead. And we'll touch up our tests. And they won't be sorted. We're going to have to do a sort on there somewhere. Well, okay. Let's see if these pass. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't like any emojis at all. I missed it. That's okay. All right. Oh, expectation failed. Yeah, they're probably in the wrong order. Minor seventh. The seventh came out first. Okay. So I'm going to make my enum. Can I make it sortable? Comparable? Get a search going home. No, I thought there was a comparable. Yeah, that's... I don't think I have to do an underlying type, though. Oh, maybe I do. Yeah, that's what I said. Comparable. Oh no. See if I can undo that. Excuse me. Okay, I think it's a timed block, Hugo, so probably won't let you type for a little bit. I added you to a list that's supposed to make it a little better for you, but I think heavy duty cymbals is not something that makes it happy. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. You just have to make it comparable, maybe. Because I want them to come out in this order. Okay. All right, and now this. I think I can do that. No? Chord. We'll do sort of by. Okay. All right, that's testing. Okay, so we. All right, and then in my view, I can say, well, I'm still suffering. I've just got these notes one at a time. Yeah. Well, I think that tells me I still am missing a concept here, because that's pretty useful. All right, I think I know what the concept is. It's a chord. Okay, so let's define that. This thing is, well, a chord sure looks like a sequence of notes, but let's give that its own type. All right, and then I don't think we have chord in here. No, let's do that. Well, they, maybe they could. That's a good question. So, I mean, the way that would work is we would write them as if they were all C chords, because that's going to be the lowest sort of default note, and then we would start them on the right note. So a D chord would be D plus 0. You know, is that quite right? Okay, we don't have a plus for notes, but we could do something like that. I mean, it's almost like, well, we have two domains, right? We have this counting domain of half steps, and then we have the note domain. You know, but it wouldn't hurt me to say a chord is like C, E, G. You know, maybe that's fine. Maybe we just subtract every note from C, or C from every position. You know, it's like C, E, G, and if you subtract the C, you got a distance of 0, 4, or 7. The patterns are just the quality of the chord. Yeah, they're really tied to the chord quality more than the notes. But it I don't know. It doesn't break my heart to describe them as being the notes. Like, it's almost like the shape of this chord. You know, might be the way to go. But I think chord is here because we want to print it, and we can't yet. So let's do that. Let's make this thing use it. He's going to return a chord. He's going to return a chord from the sorted notes. Sure. Okay. And then the test needs to be prepared to deal with a chord. Well, he's got it nice too then. Okay, he wants the chord with the notes. He needs to know the positions of these things, but I think I don't know if I need to say the interval. I mean, a normal chord built out of thirds is always root, third, fifth, seventh, ninth, 11th, 13th. Then you're back around to the root. But, all right, let's do, he's an array of chord notes, right? I'm not sure that's the best thing either, but okay, he's that. Okay, Hugo, welcome back. Yeah, so I have you on a list that should make you able to do more things, but I don't know if you post symbols too much, it'll probably restrict you again. Okay, so this is notes. I think I just have to do that and put parens on. Okay, so he's the chord of the notes. Equatable requires chord to conform to equatable. Well, we definitely want that. And he gets that for free. Hey, Eric, welcome. Good to see you again. Let's see. Let me summarize what we're working on real quick, and we'll jump back to it. So, I don't know if you've been here since I started working on this dulcimer player tools, but it's a set of little musical tools for mountain dulcimers and hammered dulcimer players. There's a metronome. There's a list of first lines of songs and a calendar and so on. But we're focused on a chord chart, and a mountain dulcimer is kind of like a 3-string guitar with frets missing as far as musically. And and it's so if it were chromatic with like a piano with white and black keys, all these would be the same width, the way I'm drawing them anyway. But a dulcimer normally leaves some out. So 1 plus is relatively new. 6 plus has been around for, you know, a few decades, pretty common. But the original dulcimers mostly did not have those fretted or those dotted line notes. So they were sort of like white keys on a piano, but people played a lot of very modal songs and stuff with them. So kind of different. But we're trying to, given a fretboard of which there are kind of 4 common ones, we want to be able to say what are all the possible chords on this thing, and then we want to say what do you hold down? You know, so 0 0 2 forms a D major chord, so does 2 3 4, so does 7 5 4 plus several others. You know, so there are a bunch of them in there, and we want to list them all out. We just got to the point last week. We got to the point where we could say, given a chord, we would work out its spelling and say, do we have those notes somewhere on the fretboard? And today we worked out that given a chord, we can tell you what the notes are, you know, C, D, E, F, G kind of thing. And then I want to draw the dots for those notes to show where the fingerings would be, and spell out 0 0 2 2 0 0 and so on. Yeah, I mean, 1 plus, so when I talk to people, like, I know a few luthiers, and at least one of them, he says most of his stuff he sells now is 1 plus, but, you know, he doesn't sell, you know, if that's probably been true for the last 2 years, and he's been in business for 30 or 40 or whatever years, you know, so there's a lot of dulcimers out there that don't have it yet, but it's becoming pretty common. I mean, if you would go to him and want a dulcimer, you'd have to tell him, hey, can you make me a custom one without a 1.5? You know, so the 6 plus has been added pretty consistently since I think around the 1970s or maybe early 80s, because it lets you play in D major without retuning. And chromatic ones are becoming more common too. I mean, not everybody goes with a chromatic one. It's like, why is it a dulcimer? You know, if it's just a 3-string guitar at that point. But, you know, different folks like different things, and, you know, it gives you certain flexibility you don't have with this. All right. So, okay, we made this equatable. Did this pass or not? Yes. Okay. Let me just run that one more time. I wasn't watching. Okay. So now, so what I'm thinking is, like, again, this is kind of, oh, note name. Okay, yeah, I didn't do that for this. Chord conform to equatable, yes, but this should be a chord. Now, I play with somebody who has had an 8.5 for years, but 8.5, so 1.5 and 8.5 are an octave apart. So he only has the high note to get those extra notes. He never liked the 1.5, and for him, when you're sliding down from a higher fret down to the 1, and you go through that 1.5, you hear the extra note in there, and he doesn't like that sound particularly. You know, that swoopiness wasn't. Okay, so let's get this up. So if you go from 2 to 1 and you're sliding it, you're gonna hear da da da. You know, not just da da. It's just a stylistic thing. But he likes that 8.5 because if you tune your dulcimer in A, then you get that extra tone shows up a lot in A, you know. So I think it's the flat 7th in the A key. So, you know, just different strokes. There's a lot of variations. All right, now we passed for real. Okay, so I guess we added chords. I didn't commit this yet. All right. But what I'm thinking is, and I don't know, I'm not sure if this is better or worse again, but I think this question of the note position, the what I call it, the chord interval, I don't know. I think that may be more trouble than it needs to be. So, I mean, what chord note? He builds that in, but it could be implicit here. I guess I'll just put the notion out there, and we won't do it this way yet. But I could say the first note in this list is the root. Actually, that's what I'm doing now because of that sort. And the second is the third, and the third is the fifth if it's there, or it's the seventh if it's not. I could say this is an array of chord notes, optional. Actually, probably just note optional. And then you would have to check for nil, but like the fifth is not used in the seventh chords, so there would just be a nil there. So it would still have 1, 3, 5, 7, or 1, 3, 5. So I think that might be a better representation. Okay, let's pause here. Draw notes in the dulcimer. Well, what we've done is make ChordChart know the spelling of each chord. Okay, which is a good thing. Doesn't depend how the chord is drawn. I think the answer is no. Let me finish this thing. DPN 2522. 10th. And this was draw something. Draw notes. Okay, so does it depend on how the chord is drawn? Yes, I'm after the root of the chord, so the root of the chord should be first. So if it's C, C, E, G, and then B flat would be a C seventh, C dominant seventh, or C seventh. And I'd like to have the notes in that order, C, E, G, B flat, even though when I'm on the dulcimer, it might be hard to find. We might have the C higher than the E or something, just who knows. Okay. So I think what we've done has improved the situation, but I don't think we're done. I think we'll watch for it to emerge, basically. But I think this can be much simpler, and just be the notes. And so I think we could just give it the C chord, the C minor, the C diminished, and so on, and then let the computation of the patterns arise down here. And maybe even notes just know their difference or something like that. All right. So I think given these notes, we're going to get the names in. I think we can do that now. Let's do. We could put a description on chord. That was what it was. All right. So if I do an extension, custom string convertible, var description of string. All right, and we're going to return notes sub 0 dot. Come on. Chord note. I think it's just note dot note. Cannot find notes? Why not? Oh. Chord is extended. All right. Good. And then let's... I don't think I have to save that description. I think it'll implicitly do that if it's custom string convertible. I probably want those in parentheses. I don't know if a dash is the right separator for that, or if I need one. A space might be just as good. What's that red mark? Oh, really? So make it explicit. Okay, well, that's not as good as I hoped for. Okay. Our notes don't have descriptions either. Oh, I should probably explicitly say .name. Yeah. And they'd probably benefit from the same thing, but I think parentheses and spaces would be just fine. Actually, parentheses belong on the caller. No, I don't think it's that. I think it's just, well, the complaint was that it was too complicated for the compiler. So apparently, you know how they build up those, like they really build deep hierarchies with that. So it's probably just a little too buried for it. Oh yeah, that's good. I mean, we'll have more space between them vertically as we fill them in, but that's great. All right, let's take a break, 3 or 4 minutes. We'll come back and we'll see if we can twist this thing to start drawing some dots in places. All right, see you in a few. All right, welcome back. Yeah, tomato timer, the pomodoros, which supposed to do 25 minutes plus a 5-minute break every hour, and we don't do that. Usually I try and break after, I guess, an hour and a half. All right, so this is good. So next thing we need to do is we need to take these notes and we need to go to the strings, the fretboard, and say, what chromatic position is the note D? Okay, it's here, 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 and here, and here. So I guess that's running through each note in the chord. And for each string, get the chromatic index and draw at that position. Okay. So if we've got chart, let's see if our fretboard, I don't think he has chart, does he? Well, no, he doesn't. Does the drawing. Yeah, this is the kind of ugly part of this. Okay. And this thing is, it's in that view space. So I want to tell it a chord Yeah, I want to give it a chord. Okay, now I don't really do tests on the views very much. But I think the fretboard could answer the questions we need, right? Oh. Does he know the tuning? Oh, he does. Oh, you gave it to him here. Fretboard tuning. View. I mean, what I want to say is draw chord notes. Context and rectangle. Okay. Okay, and then to draw the chord notes, we're going to draw the roots in context rectangle and chord note sub-0. I'm going to call these tops of the chord for the last one. Okay. I got there. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so now I need to draw roots. I feel like I don't have quite enough information. Maybe it's just I don't know if I can say rectangle. Well, what I want to say is circle, triangle, and then I guess I have to look at chord again. Yeah, chord note, this is harder than it needs to be. Okay. Yeah, another right shape. Maybe diamond is a good guess. Okay. Excuse me. Well, I don't know my path stuff well enough. Right, path is what I want. I got ellipse. Well, add lines. I got rounded rect, but not rect. And then I have a polygon. Okay, maybe. Maybe I need to pass in that interval, the chord interval. But they're on notice. Fifth or seventh. Okay. And this is going to take a chord interval. Okay, and we're going to ignore them for now. Okay, cannot find draw chord note. Cannot convert value of type chord note to expected argument type chord interval. Oh yeah, I need a note there too, don't I? Well, if I pass the notes, maybe I don't need this. Okay, so I can feel free to ignore it. Okay. Well, I don't have the tuning. Yeah, note is chord note, so it has the interval in it, so that's why I don't need that. And really, I can start with just dots everywhere and not worry about which interval it is first, but I got to get the note in place, and I'm getting balled up there. So we don't know the note. The fretboard doesn't know its tuning is the issue. So the one place we do something with it, oops, down here, we give it the tuning. So till now, we've let fretboard be just the distances of things on them. I'm going to that's my next version of that data structure, is to put the notes in the order 1, 3, 5, 7, and if you have a nil for the 5, that's fine. I think that will let you just iterate through things and go with that. But I've got to get the note itself, and I don't think I can get it without the tuning. Which, I mean, maybe the fretboard. Well, the thing that knows the chord chart is what knows the tuning and the fretboard. Let's see, where's that? Yeah, so he's the thing that brings that together, and we've not needed that to draw the fretboard, but maybe we do. I mean, we want to tell you what chord you're getting. I'm not sure. Well, can fretboard view take a chord chart? Yes, he can. Okay. And this, sorry, do I draw a chord notes for, that's the chord. Okay. Let me make this take the chord. Okay, so he does that, and then this should pass the chord. All right, that'll help a little bit. I don't think I have to have a chord, but if I do, I want to draw that stuff. All right, and then that can be chord bang. I guess I could say if let chord equal chord. Not need the bang. Okay. So draw chord note. I'm given a chord note like F sharp, but I don't know where to draw it, what fret to draw it on. Okay, so like, I mean, I gotta ask somebody, which the only person that knows both those things is the chord chart. So we're gonna ask the chart. Fret position of positions of note dot note. Okay. So I'm saying the chart is going to tell me all the places that note occurs on a given string. Where's my tuning? So this is going to send us back to ChordChart to do some work. He knows the tuning. Okay, and I can ask him for the notes. All right, thanks for joining us, Hugo. See you again. Oh yeah, private set. So I have access to the notes. Okay, so my drawing, I guess, is going to go through each string. Well, boy, he wants the tuning as well. Maybe Chart's not the guy who knows those positions. I don't think he is. I think tuning or fretboard. I guess fretboard. Dot positions for note on string. Note. Okay. String note is a note name. And I'm going to run through my strings. This is tuning.notes. Well, yeah, let me get the tuning here instead. All right, and I think because I have two notes, it's going to be confusing if I don't let you aim it. Okay, string note. No, Fretboard does not know the tuning, and I don't think he should, because I think he's got his hands full with knowing the way the frets lay out. Now, maybe we can ask him a question given the tuning. I think that's probably fair. But, I mean, the tuning and the fretboard are going to change independently, so I don't want to couple them together too much. All right. So this, what's the, what do you wrap that with? Enumerated. And it's, note position in, is that right? No, it's going to be, cannot find note in scope. Come on. In X, okay. I guess I got to say for each. First enumerated sequence, note named on element, throws goes to void to be throws. Conform to sequence. Why? I don't know if I'm. Let's hold off on that line. Is that going to make this better? No. Oh. Try it like that. That's right, Swift, and then this is note. He's a note name, we hope? Yes. Okay, that one's a note name. Okay, I'm closing in. All right, so basically tuning.notes, that note should probably be strings. Okay. All right, so I'm saying place, go through each string, and draw the chord notes for that. Okay, that seems right to me. All right, now, well, I almost need a double loop. chord.notes. Yeah, that's not right. Okay, for each string and for chord.notes sub. If you want to say code.notes.for each. Okay, for each string, we're going to draw its stuff. For each note in the chord, we're going to draw its thing. Okay, so this is note, and that's string. Now, does that make sense in terms of order? I think string maybe comes before note. And I'm going to make you spell out that it's a note. And this should be string. Okay, so for each string, we're going to go through and place each note. That makes sense to me. All right. Now, oh, this is so... I don't like to write all this code free form or freehand kind of with no tests. It's not drawing just yet. I mean, we could... I don't know. I'm wondering. All right. Well, where are you going to draw? We got to work that out. Okay. So eventually we're going to trigger something that requires us to add some actual domain code. Okay. So we're going to take the note and okay. So we're trying to get a list of positions where this note comes on this string. And I think we'll reverse the string and the note again. Okay. And then frets dot for each. And maybe this is fret position is just, maybe it's just positions. Let's draw note on string. Position. Okay. And we've given ourselves an obligation. Positions takes a note name and a chord note. takes a string, which is a note name. Okay, well, okay, is that enough to run? Let's see if I haven't broken anything. I mean, it should print a bunch of ones. Okay. String is a note name. Note. Chord note. I think we want dot note. So that's another note name. Yep. Okay. Oh yeah. Fretboard. Chord. Well, let's do nil for now. And tuning. Tuning. Okay, so this should draw our normal fretboard and not do any prints. Oh, I don't need to do the enumerated, I guess. Okay, we haven't broken anything. That's a good sign. I dropped chart from it. I think this is just say let chord. And this, we don't need the index, we just need the string. So let's drop the enumerated. But I'm still not totally convinced. I guess I'd believe fretboard is its own thing. I mean, in the physical world, even it's its own thing. That's a good starting point. You have the fretboard and all those intervals and all that stuff are defined, and that's the nut and everything else. That feels like plenty for it to know. Now, I don't know if this, like this may not belong on here. Yeah, I don't know if that does belong on here. It's yeah, it's fretboard that calls the chart. No, I think the view is going to call the chart. I mean, he's got the chord. He's asking the chart, do you have this chord? Which he probably should take a chord there, would be a reasonable thing. Yeah, that's something. So I think the chord should come out of these two. And then if you have the chord, we're going to draw it. But we're also going to draw, another copy of the fretboard. So I guess this stuff is the title for that. And then we would draw a copy of the fretboard, and then we would list out all the chords. Oh, shoot. All right, I think people have the right questions and answers. I don't think we have the right things in the right position. Let me run the tests. So test passed. That's good news. Let's add the test for this thing and get that in shape. And I think we can do that. String and node name. Okay, so fretboard. Well, tests are passing. Let's check this in as being progress on drawing dots at the active notes. We're not doing any new drawing yet, but we gotta set things up. And then a fretboard. Okay. And I think what this is doing is it knows chromatic position for a note, positions. Okay, so if I show this again, I should just snapshot this. So we can just have this around to look at. Well, did I miss? Okay. Yes, this will be fine. Okay, so, we got this fretboard. Okay, we'll do test board. Okay, so the string is let's assume it's a D string, and the note. I think I'm going to take the fretboard. Do we have a? Yeah, let's just take this one, diatonic 16. I can answer that one faster. If the string is D and the note is D, we want to expect result is 0.7. Okay. Why are you complaining? Fret. Array of fret. Okay. Oh, diatonic 16 is not a fretboard, is it? Oh, okay. Okay, we'll make a fretboard. Okay, so given the normal fretboard, find all the Ds if the string is D. So D, E, F, F, blah, 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 C sharp, D again. So it should give me back 0 and 7, the two at the octaves. All right, and this test is gonna fail. Yeah, we just add the note to the string. I think we can ask the name for the offset. Oh, we don't actually. Chromatic notes of note name. What's this used for? Okay, so we got 1 instead of 0, 7. Good. All right. Okay. So I guess what we're after is the distance from the first note to the second note. So if the string is D and the note is D, then D minus D is 0. But we have to consider up through 0 through 10. Does it make sense to subtract notes? I guess it does. It's a distance kind of thing, right? So, but we need to get the count. I guess that's on note name. So if I subtract, I guess I want an int out, which is like chromatic fret count, basically, what I'm calling position. Okay, so I think let's put this test on hold. Is it dot ignored? Dot ignored? Like that? No. Disabled. Okay, and then let's go to a note name. And then let's go to its test. Okay, well, let's take our example. So note name of D. Is that how we do it? Yeah. Okay. And then we expect that note name of D minus sut equals 0. Okay, so minus the slower steps, I guess, just to make sure we're hanging in there. It's chromatic notes. Yeah, well, they know their position. We have to worry about wraparound basically. So if I start at A, well, okay, we're starting at D. So D has position 2, and so we're going to say 2 minus 2 is 0, and that's going to be the distance. Oh, well, okay. So a note to itself is always 0. I guess I could have left that. That's true enough. The thing is, I don't get the octaves out of that, but I do need to be able to wrap around. So let's make another one where, let's take A and D. We've got to be careful because D minus A does not equal A minus D in general. Okay, so the next test. Okay, if this is A, and what's the distance? Basically, I'm asking the distance up to. Maybe that's a better name. now. Let's try and make that more. Okay, so if I do A, I want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A to itself is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. That's just a reminder. Okay. Okay, from a higher note, a note to okay. So whoops, this way. So let's return position. Distance up to, I guess I want to go the other way around, minus position. Yeah, if it's less than 0, it's going to blow up, and if it's more than 0, it's okay. Just got to make sure it counts the right way on the right occasion. Okay, but I think this one. Well, let me write and run this test. Let's reverse them. D up to A. Sorry. Do I want that to be the... I think I want it the other way around. I want this to be set up to note name D. Okay. And then I want note name A. Maybe sut is just confusing things. Note name A up to D. To note to a higher note. Okay, distance from A up to D. Okay. Sorry, that's D up to A. So this is I think this one's higher and this one's lower. It depends how you look at it. They wrap around, so it's tricky. Okay, so the distance from D up to A should be A minus D. All right, so let's run that test. Maybe just distance up and distance up with wrapping. Okay. Yeah, Okay, so I think these two are right, and this one's going to blow up. All right, we're going to go a couple minutes here. Two issues. Oh, 5. D up to A. D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp to A. 7, right? Well, maybe this is the good place to stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that should be 7. I guess I left the expectations the same. But then A up to D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And the second one failed with -7. Okay. We'll pick up there tomorrow. Thanks for joining. We got one thing done. We got the names of the chords, and I think we're very close to being able to calculate the fret positions. That's right. Yeah, we're doing clock arithmetic with no zero. All right. I'll be back tomorrow, 2 to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time or 7 to 9:30 p.m. UTC. Have a good night. Thanks again. Bye-bye.